Hades, a roguelike dungeon crawler game in which you defy the god of the dead as you hack and slash your way out of the underworld of Greek myth. This is at least how the game developer Supergiant Games describe it. This is such an oversimplification of the game though. Understanding what I mean, you need to understand what's considered the definition of roguelike games. If you look up this game type on Google, you're met with a Wikipedia description of role-playing video game characterized by a dungeon crawl through procedurally generated levels, turn-based gameplay, grid-based movement, and permanent death of the playable character. Yes, I did in fact say permanent death, meaning there's no quick load back or save point to fall back on once you get defeated. This is the main characteristic of roguelikes. Once you die, all of your progress and gear they may have just upgraded are just gone. Surprisingly, and maybe unsurprisingly, this is also the main draw towards these types of games. The satisfaction of finally defeating the boss you've tried and tried again to defeat, seeing that end scene of the main character finally accomplishing what they set out to do. That is what players seek out when they play these types of games. In the game of Hades, you play as the prince of the underworld, Zagreus, who is unhappy with his life in his father's domain. Seeking to escape, he heads to the surface in search of his mother, hoping to find his own type of peace. Along the way, the gods of Olympus help by giving Zag power-ups that are also known as boons to help him in accomplishing his goals. Though reaching the top is what is posed as the final goal, you very soon discover that it's impossible for Zagreus to stay on the surface. Once reaching the top, you see that his body cannot sustain itself, and learn his original goal is futile and pointless, as he dies anyways. This might seem odd considering the nature of what roguelike games are, but what makes Hades so unique is though you may be starting from level 1 again once you die and restart, the story isn't actually set back. The experiences and friendships that you've progressed and developed remain. You could even make the argument that dying is the only true way to progress the story in Hades. Another main feature of roguelikes is that each time you go through a run, the levels are completely randomized, meaning each time you start again, it looks completely different than the last time you tried. In Hades, that also includes the different encounters you may come across during each run. Meeting different prominent Greek figures and learning their stories, growing familiar with them, and developing friendships. But this can only occur with each new death and with each new run. One of the characters Zag meets regularly is Sisyphus. If you don't know, Sisyphus is tasked to push a boulder up a hill for only to roll back down to the bottom again for eternity. As grim as it sounds, when interacting with him in the game, you learn how he's grown to find contentment in his task. He's never downtrodden or discouraged, in fact he's quite the opposite, always giving words of encouragement to Zag when he makes his way through the underworld. Sisyphus and Zag almost parallel each other, each tasked with an impossible quest, but whereas Zag is still restless and searching for a purpose, Sisyphus has found peace in his task. And as you continue, you start to see Zag feel the same way. There's one interaction where Zag asks how Sisyphus feels about his endless charge, and his reply is that though it may seem burdensome, he's found a way to be happy, making companionship with Boldy the boulder Sisyphus has to push, as well as being satisfied by the interactions with Zag when he comes around, finding that that's enough for him to have a happy life, or, well, the afterlife. There's even a side quest where you can buy out Sisyphus' contract, and when you inform him that he's free to go and to live his life as he pleases, he simply says that he's content on where he is now as long as he's not being beat up by the Fury so much anymore. He's okay. Zagreus soon finds the same thing in his mother. Though he may not be able to stay on the surface for long, the few minutes with her are enough, and that's what keeps pushing him to make the journey. There are many of these types of interactions with different characters, and soon Zagreus finds a new goal in life and what he must do to help others, making their own afterlives feel a bit more manageable. In the start of the game, Zagreus is shown as only seemingly caring for himself and his own motivations. In the beginning, when you interact with certain characters, they are happy for Zag to be going out on his own to find his own happiness, but there's also some resentment as he is the prince of the underworld, and technically he is abandoning his responsibilities as one, leaving behind everyone. But as he matures and develops, it's no longer about seeking out his own goals. It's about developing relationships and creating a better place for everyone, not just himself, as he finds his own peace. This game has such an incredibly beautiful story, and everyone who plays it experiences it differently. Between which characters you prioritize in talking to, which upgrades and weapons you favor, there's no wrong way to go about it. There's even a mode called God Mode, where if you want to focus more on the story, every time you die you gain more of an invincibility, making the fight more manageable. Even the environment is teaching you. Each of the 4 main levels carefully developed, making you adapt to the different enemies and situations. Hades becomes more than just a game about hack and slash, it becomes a story about learning friendships, searching for your purpose in this world, and coming to find peace, all the while persevering through the challenges that are thrown towards Zag's way.